Welcome to Wim Hof Crypto, where I bring together two things that I love, cryptocurrencies and the Wim Hof method. They are both filled with communities of all people that can think for themselves and do something that is different to the norm. That's what we're all about, doing something different to the norm, learning knowledge ourselves, and in turn pushing that out and practicing it. Practicing it by either dollar cost averaging into cryptocurrencies, which is just buying a small amount each week and you're not stressing about the price, you've not put your life savings into it, you're not stressing about it. And then every day, just breathing, or however you feel. Whenever you feel like you need to de-stress, you just do the breathing technique. For me, I do it every single day. I've been doing it for 5 days now and I feel great. I've been doing a walk as well after my breathing, and I've been doing my cold showers, and yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm looking forward to looking back on this in a year after doing it every single day and seeing my change. In this video, I'm going to be talking about what is the Wim Hof method doing to our bodies? Why is it so beneficial for us? And why, if you're someone with an autoimmune disease or someone with an underlying health issue, especially in these times of this deadly virus going around, why it's beneficial for you? Why should you be doing it? It's not just some hippie meditation. It's actually a method to change the science and the chemistry of your body. Let's take a look. The Wim Hof method, there's a lot of science behind it. It's once you dive into it, there's a lot to it. You think it's just a breathing exercise. You see, it's just meditation. It's not just meditation. You are changing the science of your body, the chemicals in your body you are changing. If you think every feeling that you feel in your body, if you're feeling sad, if you're feeling happy, if you're feeling upset, all of that are just chemicals in your brain making you feel that way. And that's why you see the people that are depressed or suffering from mental illness or anything with, like I said, mental illness, then those people have the imbalance and those chemicals aren't being produced. And the go-to thing that it used to be for doctors to do is prescribe certain medication, which can short-term make you seem better, but as a lot of people know, in the long term, it disconnects you from who you are as a person. It's not you who you are by taking these antidepressants and other chemicals. And it's not just antidepressants. As one effect which is close to me is my dad actually suffers from an illness called polymyalgia, which is similar to fibromyalgia. It's like an autoimmune disease where your body attacks it, where your immune system attacks itself, and it causes you to ache all over your body. And it's stress related, really. It comes down to stress. That's the main cause of it. It's unproven what causes it, but it's stress. Everyone knows it's stress without having to have the hospitals and doctors tell you that. And it's really frustrating because they are not prescribing stress management to people. They're just giving out pills and then getting on to the next person and getting through the day and getting paid. That's what the doctors are there for. I mean, obviously doctors do good, but in things like that where it's just like, okay, we're not sure why this thing comes about, you can take this. My dad has to take steroids. He's also a diabetic, and as much as I go on about the Wim Hof method to him, he just sees it as some hippie thing, and it's hard for me to get him to do it. So this is why I've got this channel, because I want to do it myself and invest in cryptocurrencies myself, do these things myself that I talk about, and prove through me, without having to say things, I can just prove through me that these things work. And inspire myself to compound every single day to do the technique, and inspire others to do the technique as well. But it's going to take time. But with the Wim Hof method, when you do the breathing, it's all about making your blood less acidic. Acidic blood is terrible for the body. It pumps around your organs and it can cause problems. You think every day that you're stressed, when I'm talking about stress, I'm talking about like if someone has done you wrong and you're constantly thinking about that in your mind. Or another stress is obviously money issues. If you're worried about where's your money going to come from, if you've just been laid off, like now, people are probably going to be stressing big time now. A lot of unemployment going on. If you're in cryptocurrencies and you're making a trade, you might have stress. It might keep you up at night. I know back in 2017 when the crypto bubble was going crazy, it was hard to sleep at night. You would have thousands in a coin and you obviously want it to go up, but I mean, ultimately it might drop quite a lot. If you've not got a stop loss in place, you might lose a lot of money. It can be highly stressful, and you need to be able to deal with it. You need to be able to not think about that and not have that chemical that's being produced when you're thinking of that person or what you want to do to them or whatever it is. That you need to relieve yourself of that and forgive and forget, and that's what you get by doing the breathing technique. It's a form of meditation, and the actual breathing technique comes from the Tumo Buddhist practicing. The breathing technique is is similar to the Tumo breathing. Now, Dr. David Hendricks, who I'll play a clip of in a second, is talking about stress from children that are abused at a younger age. They went through this thing called the ACE study, which shows how kids that had something happen to them at a young age, and there was 8 things like seeing the mother get beaten by the father, or obviously sexual abuse is one of them, divorce, and there's other ones that I'll play in the clip. But he talks about how those stresses at a young age can affect someone at a later age to turn to drugs or inject and turn to suicide. He says the high amounts of suicide rate that they have in America comes down to a lot of the people had at least one of these things happen to them in younger childhood. But you can take that and also think of it in terms of just stress in everyday life. It's all these bad stresses. Dr. David Hendricks also talks about the Buddhist techniques and what he's been doing in his rehab clinic with people that are suffering from these stresses, and that it's affected their life. It affects your brain mentally. But I'll just play this clip.
Recent brain imaging studies of maltreated children reveal extensive structural abnormalities in multiple regions of the brain, and enough damage to the brain so that the brain of these kids is actually reduced as much as 10% in size below normal. Now, the ACE study was a groundbreaking clinical epidemiologic study that did 2 things for the first time in the history of clinical research, and that is, it looked for all of the types of adversity that kids could go through at one time. It's hard for me to believe it wasn't done before this. It was always fragmented. But in this study, all forms of adversity that children could suffer were looked at, and they were 8 in number. And they include physical, emotional, and sexual abuse, witnessing the mother being abused, divorce or separation, and being raised by a parent that was criminal, mentally ill, or drug addicted. What do you think the ACE study would predict the likelihood that these suffering children would use drugs in adulthood? 80% of all addicted adults in the United States today come from this population of people that were abused as children. What would you guess about the likelihood of mental illness in their future? This is a bar graph that depicts the likelihood of committing suicide, surely the ultimate marker of emotional suffering, in adulthood plotted against childhood experience. And again, the 0 represents an ACE score of 0, that among those who had no reports of childhood adversity, the risk of committing suicide as an adult was very low, vanishingly small. For those that had 1 type of adversity in their childhood experience, 2 types, 3 of the 8, 4, 5, 6, and 7 or more. In the article where these results were first published, the authors said that the linkage between being abused as a kid and killing yourself as an adult was so strong as to be unprecedented in the history of epidemiologic studies. And they further concluded that the vast majority of suicides in the United States every year are attributable to only one thing, and that is that they were their abuse as children. But science made this picture even blacker when it said that once these suffering kids reached young adulthood, there wasn't anything anybody could do to help them, because by that time the brain had lost the capacity to ever change, essentially entombing them in this suffering. This is what I was taught in medical school, and I absolutely refuse to believe it. Brain imaging evidence demonstrating that meditation has a profound positive impact on multiple regions of the central nervous system, including those areas of the brain damaged by childhood adversity. So what's really happening here is that we're using a powerfully focused mind that we get from a meditational practice within an overarching construct and guidance of a Buddhist psychological system of mind, of understanding the mind. And what we're really doing is, for the first time, we have the ability to take conscious control of the brain's physical resources, dynamic resources for change, which is epigenetics and neurogenesis, and we direct them to heal the wounds of the past and to restore to us the right to be who we choose to be for the first time. Any of us can do this at any time. It doesn't matter where we stand on the continuum of human development. So you don't need to worry about the brain's capacity to change. All you have to do is to be really serious about training the mind, and it'll happen automatically. Buddha said, mind is everything.
Now, I'm not going to play the full clip, that was just snippets cut down, but what he's saying is that you can change your mind. The science that they tell you at the hospitals and what doctors tell you is changing, and we're now realizing the power of our minds through meditation. I don't think meditation should be called meditation anymore either, or at least the Wim Hof method. It should be therapy, not meditation. But if you want to watch that full TED talk, it's actually really good because it talks about mice and how they've separated mice from their parents and caused distress in their brains and how it's affected their brains. The whole talk is really good. Now, he's not talking specifically about the Wim Hof method, but it's similar, and I would say the Wim Hof method is actually more powerful because it's not just the mind, it's also your body, it's also your nervous system, and just like, well, if you go and watch the full TED talk that he does, where he says you send an electrical impulse to your finger to make it wiggle like that, you can just send the electrical impulse there without doing the wiggle, and you can feel your fingers. You have much more control. It's amazing, you know, if you're a Hoffer. But that was this video, just trying to get a point across to people that aren't Wim Hofers, that might be struggling with inner stress or some stuff that's happened in their past life that they can't get over, that you can get over it, and you can change. If you feel like you've changed as a person, you can bring yourself back. Appreciate for watching all the way to the end of this, and I'll see you in the next video.